High-performing anxiety. It's something that comes into the therapy room every week. Our anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows, but only empties today of its strengths. Depression and anxiety are words that are just bandied about these days, but what do they actually look like? What do they feel like? There are so many of us out there living our lives, performing well at work, engaging with our friends and family and functioning. But if we stop for a moment, is that enough? Simply to function. Do you know that there's an acknowledged subcategory of anxiety known as high-functioning anxiety? If I were to tell you that those who live with this health condition are often high achievers, where sufferers appear organised, in control and doing well in life. They are always immaculately presented, on time and upbeat on the outside. They are the epitome of what success and successful living looks like. And actually, the increasing pressure that the world and the role of social media plays upon us all is increasingly responsible for the need to aspire to perfection. However, perfect, successful life is often a mask to disguise the internal struggle, a foil to conceal those hounded by anxious thoughts, spiraling worries, and a feeling of being utterly unable to cope. High-functioning anxiety is not officially recognised as being its own mental health condition in the scientific sense, but is rather a subtype of anxiety. So what exactly is it, and how can you spot the signs? Well, firstly, the anxiety may not visibly or outwardly present in a way that you might be expecting. The sufferer is able to persuade everyone around them that they are functioning well and mentally healthy. And what does that look like? You could be that employee who excels and overperforms at work. You might be the constantly reliable, good friend, that person who you know will always have your back. You may be that constant example of academic or sporting excellence, or even both. Your home may be immaculate, cleaned within the inch of its life, ready for the Instagram post designed to induce envy from everyone and everybody. But all of the above is simple mask. It's just a mask. But all of it is not necessarily reality when we're talking about mental health. For when indeed we are faced with someone who appears capable, functioning, excellent socially in relationships with family, at work or elsewhere, but in fact they are hiding the truth, then we are entering the territory of a person with high-functioning anxiety. All the above can exist, but alongside the veneer are the debilitating and chronic symptoms of anxiety disorder. These can include that feeling of impending doom, fear, being hypervigilant, over-worrying, and being oversensitive. Not least the physical symptoms of responses of raised blood pressure, a high heart rate, difficulty sleeping, tummy problems including IBS and diarrhea, nausea, a change in appetite. The signs of anxiety are easily missed initially. Often those with high-functioning anxiety are keeping up appearances. There's a high degree of pretense involved, an effort in itself. Sufferers are quite often perfectionists, concerned with either not being good enough or of getting things wrong. They can also be workaholics. So it's easy to say, oh well, They've just got super high standards rather than questioning whether there might be something more sinister going on. Equally, there can be those with high performing anxiety who we might consider what is known as a control freak. But consider for a moment, is control always ego-driven or based? What if the driving force behind the need of control was fear? If you're the person on the receiving end of this behaviour, it's often hard to be empathetic towards someone who behaves with the power and control. However, if we could challenge ourselves to understand that all of us are different and alternative ways to let ourselves feel our emotions, and if necessary, find as many ways to possible to block them out, then maybe we could understand that controlling behaviour can originate from a different source. Additional signs of the subcategory of anxiety can include, but are not limited to, feeling forever restless, being tetchy and irritable, an inability to establish boundaries, always being busy and full on, insisting they are happy in challenging times. If you consider the symptoms above, it may be that sufferers are familiar with past depression or some experienced trauma. Equally, low self-esteem and confidence, feeling of worthlessness, substance abuse and other disorders, a fear of being rejected, are all examples what can be behind those living with high-performing anxiety. But all is not lost. If any of the above sounds familiar, then I want you to know that there most definitely can be help at hand. The first thing that you need to do is acknowledge that this is familiar for you. Then ask for help and include professional help, although this won't be in the nature to do so. Know that this is the first step in taking back control and truly being that polished person that you outwardly present. Then, examine your belief system and challenge them. Look at your values. Think about what is really important to you. Learn how to say no. Equally, learn that the drive for perfection is one of destruction, not least self-destruction. Put in boundaries, but boundaries that are there to support you and reduce your anxiety level. Consciously limit the time you spend on trying to achieve everything. Let yourself fail to finish the list. A very difficult one, letting yourself fail. Take up relaxing activities that are especially slowing you down, such as walking, yoga, dancing, gardening, holistic therapies, and anything creative. All of these types of activities play an active role in closing down the anxiety response in the brain. Select those people around you who you really trust. Then be brave and tell them that you are struggling. If you feel able, include your GP who can direct you to helpful services, support and psychotherapy, CBT and other professions. Be aware of the negative voice in your head. Don't punish yourself and run yourself down. If you're familiar with the maxim, if you can't say anything nice, then don't say anything at all, then why don't we say that to ourselves? You can recover from high-functioning anxiety, but only if you allow the mask to slip. Only if you start revealing the real you, only if you are truthful and kind to you, to yourself, only if you acknowledge that change is necessary. Telling people that you trust you are struggling, and this can include your GP, who can refer further support, including psychotherapy, CBT, and mindfulness, as I've mentioned previously.